Most people think intelligence is a filter. You think that if you have a high IQ, a fancy degree, or a massive vocabulary, you're naturally protected from stupid ideas. Wrong. Intelligence isn't a filter, it's an amplifier. A high IQ doesn't help you find the truth, it just makes you better at justifying what you want to believe. 90% of the most dangerous ideas in human history weren't started by fools. They were designed, polished, and defended by the smartest people in the room. While you're worrying about whether you're smart enough to understand a complex topic, the geniuses are busy using their massive processing power to build a fortress around a lie. This is the psychology of intellectual sabotage. Today, I'm going to show you why your brain's high-speed hardware is actually its own worst enemy, and how to spot the moment your logic starts working for the wrong side. This isn't about being right. This is about the human operating system and the glitch that makes smart people the most dangerous defenders of nonsense. The lawyer versus the scientist. Most people assume that the brain works like a scientist. It gathers evidence, tests a hypothesis, and reaches a conclusion. In reality, the brain works like a high-priced defense attorney. Under the hood, your subconscious has already decided what it likes. It likes the idea that makes you feel safe, the idea that makes your team look good, or the idea that justifies your lifestyle. Once the subconscious picks a side, it hands the case to your conscious intellect and says, "Here's the verdict. Now, go find the arguments to support it." The hack. The smarter you are, the better you are at motivated reasoning. A person with average intelligence might find 2 reasons why a bad idea is good. A genius will find 20. They will use complex jargon, obscure data points, and sophisticated rhetoric to make a house of cards look like a marble cathedral. They aren't seeking the truth. They are litigating for their ego. The IQ trap, the Perkins effect. Psychologist David Perkins discovered a terrifying glitch in the human hardware. He found that while high IQ people are much better at arguing for their own point of view, they are no better than anyone else at seeing the other side of an issue. In fact, the higher the IQ, the less likely someone is to look for flaws in their own logic. Why? Because they are so good at winning arguments that they've never been forced to develop the software patch of self-doubt. The secret signal. Watch for one-sided sophistication. If someone is using extremely complex logic to defend a point, but they can't even accurately describe the opposing view, you're looking at the IQ trap. They are using their engine to drive full speed in the wrong direction. Identity protective cognition. Human beings are tribal animals. 100,000 years ago, being right and alone meant death. Being wrong, but with the tribe, meant survival. Our biological hardware still prioritizes belonging over accuracy. This is called identity protective cognition. If you belong to a social group, a political party, a religious sect, a professional circle, your brain views an attack on that group's core ideas as a literal physical threat. The hack. When a smart person's tribe adopts a bad idea, that person doesn't use their intelligence to debunk the idea. They use it to protect the firewall. They become the tribe's chief propagandist. They will ignore 99% of the evidence that contradicts their group and hyper-focus on the 1% that supports it. They aren't being stupid, they're being loyal. The "I'm too smart to be fooled" fallacy. This is the most dangerous hidden signal. Most smart people believe they are immune to cognitive biases. They've read the books, they know the terms, they think they're above the glitch. Research shows that people who score high on cognitive sophistication are actually more likely to fall for the bias blind spot. They can see the bias in everyone else, but they believe their own conclusions are the result of pure logic. The pro move. True intelligence isn't having a high IQ, it's having intellectual humility. It's the ability to say, my brain is a biased piece of hardware, and I am probably lying to myself right now. If you think you're too smart to be tricked, you've already been tricked. The dreaded dysrationalia. There is a specific medical term for this, dysrationalia. It's the inability to think and behave rationally despite having high intelligence. You can have a 140 IQ and still believe in magic, join a cult, or blow your life savings on a sure thing investment. Intelligence is the engine, but rationality is the driver. If the driver is drunk on ego or tribalism, the size of the engine doesn't matter. It just helps you crash harder. The hack. Separate intelligence from thinking. Intelligence is your ability to process information. Thinking is the set of tools you use to vet that information. You need to upgrade your thinking software, logic, probability, self-awareness, because your intelligence hardware is already running a biased OS. Narrative transport. and the beautiful idea. Smart people have a weakness for elegant theories. In physics, math, and philosophy, there's a belief that the simplest, most beautiful answer is usually the correct one. The problem? The world is messy, ugly, and random. Smart people will often defend a bad idea simply because it's theoretically beautiful. They will ignore the ugly facts of the real world because they've fallen in love with the symmetrical logic of the theory. The secret signal. When someone says, "It works in theory even if the data hasn't caught up yet," back away. That is the sound of a smart person choosing a story over reality. The argumentative theory of reason. Why did we evolve reason in the first place? Evolutionary psychologists Hugo Mercier and Dan Sperber suggest that reason didn't evolve to help us find truth. It evolved to help us win arguments. In the mating dance of social status, the person who could convince the tribe was the person who got the resources. Logic was a weapon for social dominance. The pro move. When you're in a debate, stop asking, "Is this person smart?" and start asking, "Is this person trying to find the truth, or are they just trying to win the social space?" A pro thinker doesn't try to win. They try to be the last person standing with the most accurate map of reality. The sunk cost of the degree. If you've spent 10 years and $200,000 getting a PhD in a specific field, your brain has a massive sunk cost in that field's current ideas. If a new piece of evidence comes out that proves your entire career was based on a mistake, your brain won't say, "Oh, interesting." It will go into full combat mode. Smart people defend bad ideas because their personal value is tied to those ideas. To admit the idea is bad is to admit that they are a failure. The hack. Don't tie your identity to your ideas. Treat your ideas like beta software. If someone shows you a bug, don't get angry. Thank them for the update. The goal is to have the cleanest code, not to defend the oldest version of the software. The echo chamber of the elite. Smart people are actually better at curating their environments. They move to specific neighborhoods, go to specific schools, and follow specific thought leaders. This creates a high-level echo chamber. Because everyone they respect believes the same bad idea, the smart person assumes it must be true. They mistake consensus among the elite for objective reality. The secret signal. Watch for the phrase, "Everyone who matters knows that." That is the sound of a social firewall being built. Real truth doesn't care who matters. Real truth exists even if 0 people believe it. The bottom line. Intelligence is a power tool. In the hands of a scientist, someone seeking truth, it builds the future. In the hands of a lawyer, someone seeking to be right, it builds a cage. Don't be the guy who uses his 130 IQ to defend a 60 IQ idea just because his ego is on the line. Stop trusting your engine and start checking your driver. The goal of the human experience isn't to win the argument. It's to align your internal map with the external world. Most people are just high-speed processors running Ego 1.0. You just learned how to spot the glitch. If this breakdown of the smart person's trap helped you see your own thoughts a little differently, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden hardware of the human mind. Go out there, be humble, question your internal lawyer, and remember, don't be a genius-level fool, don't be a tribal puppet, be a pro. See you in the next one.